So the 2025 college football season is less than 2 months away from kicking off. And in his magazine, Phil Steele uses 9 different power ranking methods. All right, 9 of them.
9 strong.
Not 10, 9. It includes the plus-minus power ratings, which are the basis of these Big Ten football rankings. These rankings include decimals based on team, which are derived from a combination of last year's result against strength of schedule and then combined with his plus-minus ratings to create the totals. Ohio State predicted to have an output of all those numbers with a 128.19, which is good for best in the conference.
That's exactly what I had him at.
I had him at that too. I actually had him at 128.22. Phil went a little bit lower than me. My eyes get crossed like when we talk about analytical output. Like SP Plus is one of the best ones that I read every year, and I'm like, I don't get how you do that. But they're very good at
Just
what they
give me
do.
the output.
So Ohio State, Austin, ranking number 1 this year in the Big Ten. Haven't won the Big Ten since 2020, going back to the COVID year. I know that your goals here at Ohio State is number 1, beat your rival, number 2, win the Big Ten, and then number 3, win every game after that and win a national championship. And it's something that they have not done against your rival since 2019, and you have not won a conference championship since 2020. You did just recently win a national championship, though, but Phil Steele having the Buckeyes as number 1 team in the Big Ten.
Yeah, which is not a surprise. When you recruit at the level that Ohio State does, you have better players waiting to replace the good ones that you not necessarily better players. You have good players waiting to replace the good players that left. Mm-hmm. Shouldn't say better. Maybe they will be. We'll see.
Time will tell.
Clearly, none of you were listening to Paul Finebaum over the weekend.
I did listen to it.
It's right here.
I found it to be absolutely absurd.
Here's what he said. They'll struggle to make the playoff, and they're probably going to lose to Michigan. Here was Paul Finebaum.
Well, I'm glad to see somebody on the Ohio State lineup maybe do something more than just mouthing words, because Jeremiah sounds serious. Ryan Day has promised after every loss not to lose again, and he continues to lose again. But you said it a minute ago. They are the defending national champions. So even clowns like me on the 4th of July are not going to call for a firing of a coach because he loses one game. But that is a game he has to deal with at some point. But that national championship game will pay a lot of bills, probably. Yes, including another loss to Michigan.
And didn't he say Ryan Day was not a top 5 coach?
I don't know.
I mean, he was building up to that.
Not really watching.
He went self-deprecating with, clowns like me, so that he could kind of take the edge off the fact that he was saying if Ryan Day lost to Michigan again, that he should be fired. Because, you can...
Just got a brand new contract
pay some bills by winning a national championship. Buddy, what are you talking about? And point to me where Ryan Day comes out after every Michigan loss and promises that he's never going to lose again. He's a coach.
It's the first thing that popped into my mind when I heard that. I'm like, I don't know if he's ever
everything that Paul Finebaum said on Friday was outrageous. Mouthing words. Ryan Day, it makes me uncomfortable the way he described last year's loss, saying that just his dad dying was the only other thing that was like losing to Michigan. I know that that's how he feels. He's not saying that for effect. I've watched his daughters cry on the sideline in the horseshoe. I've watched the family react to the losses in the big house. I know how important it is to the Day family and to Ryan Day specifically. So, Jeremiah sounds serious.
He's a very serious young man.
What is more serious than Ryan Day calling a loss life and death? He wants to win that game more than anybody else. But guess what? He also now has some different perspective on it. They lost it again last year, and then what did they do? He proved that he was one of the best coaches in college football, one of only 3 now who have won a national championship trophy. They won every game after that. They beat Tennessee. They're pretty good. I think Paul Finebaum knows something about Tennessee.
Just a little bit.
Here's the quote from Finebaum. I think anyone who thinks Ryan Day is one of the 2 or 3 best coaches in the country is foolish.
Yeah, but what metric are you going off of on that? Because if you're going by national championships.
He called him a good CEO.
Okay, man. Come on.
Yeah, I mean,
he is a good CEO, and it took him a lot to actually step back into that role and give up play calling duties. But it worked out pretty good last year. Michigan game, bad. But you look at the playoffs and the way that those plays were called, it was very good. It's very efficient.
I know what Paul Finebaum is doing. I know what anybody in the national media is doing. We got into July. It's much easier to flip the script and then get Ohio State fans agitated, get me worked up about trying to fact check you about pure nonsense. Like, sometimes I say things that are wrong, dealing into a live microphone. Yeah. Sometimes my opinions are wrong.
Most of the times mine are.
Even my
facts and my opinions.
Even when it's a recorded opinion that I give every morning on the beat, it might be wrong. When Paul Finebaum is saying, well, I think Ohio State's going to lose to Texas, that's fine. You can pick whoever you want to win games. A lot of times these situations, there's not any accountability afterwards. They're just, well, they proved me wrong, or they just ignore it, and I didn't pick anyone to win this game.
We've both had those situations very many times.
That happens a lot. Someone has to win a game and someone has to lose a game. If we all agreed on who's going to win every game and who's going to lose every game, it'd be pretty boring. Embracing debate is a little bit of how sports works. We maybe don't take it to the level of Paul Finebaum or anyone else on these Get Up shows. I don't remember the last time I watched anything that wasn't live sports on ESPN, but that's neither here nor there. This is a good reminder of why I don't do that. But you can't just start this nonsense and say, oh, Ryan Day's mouthing words.
Also, why are you just throwing away a national championship?
That happened.
You just doing that
6 months ago. So you're just going to all of a sudden, I don't like Ohio State, and they're going to lose to Michigan? Based on what? Like, at least give me some reason. I know that these shows have, like, countdown clocks, and you have to get your takes out as fast as possible, but why do you think Ohio State?
If you're going to say he's not a top 2 or 3 head coach, tell me who's better.
Yeah.
Give that
Give
list.
the names.
And if you want to say that Dabo Swinney and Kirby Smart are better than that, go ahead and do it. But you can't use the national championship example and then not include a guy who just won a national championship 6 months ago.
I just think it's ridiculous. I don't like Ohio State. I don't think they're going to beat Texas.
That's fine. You can say that.
Cool.
He doesn't think they're going to make the playoffs next year.
You know, and
what?
It's one of the 3 most talented rosters in the sport. If that's the hot take you want to fire out so that you can get people talking about your opinions, watching your shows, listening to your radio appearances, great. Like, go for it. I just be more intellectually honest about it. Because there's no reason given. What else does Ryan Day have to do? You can say, yeah, he's lost to Michigan 4 times.
And we talked about that last week in your question of the week.
We've talked about it 100 times. We'll talk about it 1,000,000 times. It's not as if people are pretending that it didn't happen. So Ryan Day mouths these words. Jeremiah is serious. Ryan Day, somebody on the Ohio State roster is actually going to do something about it. What are you talking about? What are you actually talking about?
Here was more Paul Finebaum for you.
Yeah, I don't like Ohio State because I think Ohio State is going to lose in the opener against Texas, and they are going to struggle to make the playoffs, let alone win it all.
Thank you, sir.
Why? Well, you knew that we would latch onto that part. But what if he followed up and said, I don't think that replacing Will Howard is going to be very easy. I don't know if Julian Sayin or Lincoln Kienholz are going to provide the level of quarterback play that Ohio State needs to get there.
I'm scared about their depth on the interior of the defensive line. Do something.
That would be fine if he said that. Or that Jim Knowles has left and gone to Penn State, and I don't know.
Matt Patricia being back in the college game, that's a big deal. You lost Chip Kelly. Brian Hartline now comes in.
Give a reason.
Give something.
I'm not pretending like there aren't. If you wanted to go out on this limb and pretend like Ohio State is not one of the 2 or 3 most talented teams in the country, that's fine. That is your prerogative. You want to go out and make that. There are gambling odds. If you want to say that Ohio State's going to miss the playoff, you can get a pretty good penny because also the gambling sites strongly believe in Ohio State being the national title favorite right now. So if you want to argue with them and you have your reasons, I'm not saying that you can't come up with them. They need a new offensive coordinator. They have a new offensive coordinator. Brian Hartline's calling plays. They have a new defensive coordinator. They lost a ton of NFL draft picks. We talked in the 6 o'clock hour about Quinshawn and Travion not being there. You want to talk about their backfield. You want to talk about the quarterbacks. You want to talk about losses at Donovan Jackson and both tackles being gone.
They are massive.
And every defensive lineman, cool. Like, there are actual platforms that you could use to justify an argument that Ohio State is going to lose to Texas, lose to Michigan, and miss the playoff. You can't do that. I still think that's crazy, but he didn't do any of that. Just, well, Ryan Day's, He got a national championship, and that's going to pay the bills. That's going to keep him from getting fired in November.
Alternate side of that, what has Sark done to win a national championship?
Let me think. Don't believe he's won it.
The last time I checked.
Think he
maybe
got
if his
close.
Yeah, he's gotten close multiple times.
I mean, it's just, it gets me so
Tony Petitti
so
this week,
heated.
Paul Finebaum this week.
I'll get over this because I used to cover the SEC. I'm used to the Paul, and I should be over it now because I know what he's doing. I've been around it for 15, 20 years. Like, it's an act. It's a caricature. I don't think any of it's serious. I think he knew that this would be the reaction here. That's what he wants. And I gave it to him. It's shame on me.
Shame on you.
I'm mad at myself right
Shame
now.
on Nate for
I
even
have
bringing it
successfully
up.
derailed this segment.
Good job, Nate. You did a nice job. As we rounded to camp month,
I think
Go ahead.
I think he made it a better segment.
I did too. We're going to start getting.